Explain in your own words what a business cycle is. Also, name and explain briefly the main features of business cycles that we observe. So a business cycle is the fluctuation of the GDP of an economy around its long-term growth rate. It's also known as an economic cycle. Business cycles usually have peaks and troughs. They represent the different phases of the business cycle. And a business cycle has 4 phases, namely boom, recession, depression, and recovery. I can draw that for us here quickly. So we've got time on the x-axis, and we could say GDP on the y-axis, and say over time, GDP was strong, fell sharply, and is now beginning to rebound, right? So, loosely, like we can say, like, this is when COVID hit. Again, this is not going to be perfect. If anything, this probably should have been a slower, steeper incline, but generally this is what happened, right? So business is booming for the last several years. So say here to here, probably more so till there. We've got business booming. It falls. So we've got a recession here. And after the initial spike in unemployment and whatnot, our economy begins to recover. And we've got recovery. What's not listed here is a depression. And depression is essentially a long-term recession. So you've probably heard of the Great Depression, 1929. I believe that was over the course of 2 or 3 years. The financial crisis also happened in 2008. That was a year and a half. It's unclear the exact long-term effects of COVID on the economy right now. And I guess we'll see how it plays out moving forward. A boom is a period of high economic growth, GDP, and unemployment. The economy is at its peak at this point. When the economy begins to move in a recession, demand and output fall, and the unemployment rates begin to rise. This is what we saw when COVID hit. The economy is starting to fall from its peak and is on the downward slope of the business cycle. Then the economy reaches a depression that is a severe form of recession. At this point, the economy is at its trough of the business cycle. I think it's important to say that this trough here does not necessarily mean a depression. A depression happens over a longer period of time. This is a trough, and obviously at the top of a boom, you're also going to have a peak. After depression comes the recovery period during which demand picks up, giving way to increased output and growth. That's here, the recovery. Economy starting to ascend. The business cycle is on a positive slope at this point. It's important to note the type of unemployment that is associated with changes in the business cycle, and this is cyclical unemployment. So cyclical unemployment comes from changes in the business cycle. So when the economy is booming, there's going to be lower levels of unemployment, obviously, and when there's a recession, unemployment is going to spike. Other types of unemployment are seasonal. So that's think of a plow driver. They've got a job in the winter when it's snowing, but when summer comes around, you're not needed as a plow driver. Some crop industries and things of that nature are also seasonal unemployment. There's structural unemployment, where the company's looking for jobs. There's a demographic mismatch from the people applying for them. So think some like startup tech company. We need a ton of coding skills, and say there's like a, somebody that's 60 that worked in agriculture that's just been recently laid off. They're looking for a job. This employer is looking to hire someone, but there isn't a skills match. So that's structural. And the last one is, what am I missing? Frictional. So that's when, like, say you graduate university and you haven't found a job yet, you're frictionally unemployed. Or say you move to a new city and you haven't found a job yet, you're frictionally unemployed. This is basically between jobs, is what frictional unemployment is. That was a little off track, but that was a good answer by our junior tutor.